Breaking right now at noon, several people, including children, shot at a church in Minnesota. What law enforcement is saying on the investigation. Plus, continuing coverage of a Madison area priest accused of child sex crimes. Reaction from his congregation and the diocese. This is News 3 Now at noon. Thanks for joining us. I'm Josh Breiter. Breaking news, at least 2 children are dead and several more injured after a shooting at a Catholic school in Minneapolis this morning. Bradley Blackburn has the very latest out of Minnesota.
Families walked hand in hand with their young children, taking them away from Annunciation Catholic School after a shooting this morning. A heavy police presence is at the South Minneapolis school as the investigation begins into what happened. Sources tell CBS News the shooter, a male wearing all black, died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Unfortunately, these entities have established security protocols in the event of an active shooter. So the church and the school would have had plans in place to try to mitigate any damage as quickly as possible. Once that suspect is identified, they will get a warrant for the individual's residence, the suspect's vehicle, and then very quickly start scrubbing that individual's mobile devices, if any are present, as well as social media. They do want to ascertain whether this individual was in touch with anybody else about the suspect's plans.
According to a school schedule, there was an all-school mass this morning. This was just the 3rd day of the school year for Annunciation Catholic School, which goes from pre-K to 8th grade. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
According to the Minneapolis police chief, the gunman has no extensive criminal history. President Trump writes on Truth Social that he has been fully briefed on the shooting. Continuing coverage now on a Madison area priest facing child sex crime charges. The Diocese of Madison has fully restricted Reverend Andrew Showers from practicing or associating with minors for the duration of the investigation. Showers has been serving as Our Lady of Guadalupe Church in Madison. He is currently out of jail on general release. He was assigned to churches from as far north as Green Lake to as far south as Clinton. Clintonville police arrested him Sunday after allegations that he attempted to meet a 14-year-old girl in Clintonville for sex. Church officials say Madison police notified them Monday. News 3 Now asked nearby residents for their thoughts on the allegations.
I think the Catholic Church needs to be at the forefront of that healing process. I know that they've sent out some press releases, but it's going to take a lot more than that to regain a lot of trust of people in the church and people who have gone away from the church. It's certainly things like this that keep me away.
Bishop Donald Hine responded to the allegations in a letter saying, quote, "There have been no previous allegations of sexual misconduct connected to Showers." He goes on to say these allegations wound the entire body of Christ and cut to the heart of all of us throughout the diocese. Allegations of this nature are always deeply painful, but especially so in the case of a priest. I earnestly ask for your prayers for anyone affected, for all victims of sexual abuse, and for our church, end quote. A gas leak is to blame for the evacuations of 3 businesses and 2 duplexes in Sun Prairie. According to Sun Prairie Fire and EMS, a contractor struck a gas line on Main Street. We Energies was called to the scene and stopped the leak. Those who had to evacuate were allowed to return after about 90 minutes. No injuries were reported. 1 person is dead and another injured after a UTV crash in the town of Milton. The Rock County Sheriff's Office says it happened around 10:15 last night on East Vincent Road near the 59er Bar and Grill. First responders took the driver of the UTV, a 49-year-old man, to a local hospital for non-life-threatening injuries. The passenger, a 62-year-old man, died at the scene. The Sheriff's Office is still investigating. It is day 2 of the Devontae Gafford retrial. He is one of the men accused of shooting and killing Devon Grant outside the Harmony Apartments. During the opening statements, the defense framed the events of July 13, 2023 as a chaotic scene of violence. Meanwhile, the prosecution says it was a calculated shooting and payback for a botched drug deal. The court also heard testimonies from detectives, witnesses, and the victim's mother. We now know more about the days leading to a murder-suicide on the UW-Platteville campus. On May 19th, 22-year-old Hallie Helms shot and killed 22-year-old Kelsey Martin at Wilgus Hall before turning the gun on herself. A police report shows witnesses heard Helms screaming at Martin moments before the shooting, saying, quote, "I'll kill you." Records on the day of the shooting, Helms searched for a room map on Wilgus's Hall and also how to write a suicide note. The report also shows Helms had recently learned why she would not be recommended for a teaching certificate because of her poor performance in student teaching over the last year. The man accused of fleeing to Europe and faking his own death is behind bars this afternoon. Ryan Borgwart was sentenced to 89 days in county jail and was ordered to pay a $30,000 fine. Borgwart went missing last year after crossing the Canadian border and flying to Europe. He later returned to the U.S. voluntarily. Madison residents have a chance to weigh in on the next police chief, and that deadline to share input is by 4:30 this afternoon. You can email your comments to pfc@cityofmadison.com. The Board of Police and Fire Commissioners expects to announce its final pick shortly after completing the last steps of the selection process. Commissioners interviewed the 3 finalists. They are Madison Police Captain Stephanie Drescher, Milwaukee Police Assistant Chief Stephen Johnson, and Acting Madison Chief John Patterson. The commission encourages all Madison residents to watch the interviews and submit feedback before a final decision is made. Well, still comfy outside, but some shower chances return to the forecast. Here's First 4 meteorologist Jacob Montesano. Hi, Jacob.
Hey, Josh. Temperatures, as you mentioned, are still going to be comfortable, and the good news is that those showers likely not going to happen until later tonight. Right now, lower 70s to upper 60s. It is a little bit cooler as you go further west, where there is a little bit more cloud cover. And throughout the day, we're going to continue to see these temperatures in the lower 70s to upper 60s. A good amount of sunshine, especially for Madison and areas to the north and east. But right now, we are seeing some shower activity in northeast Iowa. Nothing in southern Wisconsin. But those of you in the far southwestern portion of the state could see a few passing showers this afternoon. But for the most part, a lot of the area won't see any rain until we get to the overnight hours. So looking at that rainfall forecast, we'll see on and off clouds for most of the area with mostly dry conditions as well. But once we get towards the overnight hours, especially closer to midnight and early Thursday morning, we are going to see a few showers and some isolated thunderstorms move through the area. Nothing is expected to be severe. Could see some pockets of heavy rainfall, but they will be very brief. As we get to Thursday morning, still could see some lingering showers, but for the most part, we're not going to see a lot of rainfall Thursday, but we still may continue to see a few of those isolated showers into the afternoon. But once we get to the afternoon Thursday, most of the area should be dry. Now, the cloud cover and rainfall will keep temperatures a lot milder tonight into tomorrow morning, so lows will be in the upper 50s to lower 60s. So Thursday morning, not going to be as cool in the morning hours as we have been the last couple of mornings. So small chance of rain tonight, but we're not going to see much for the rest of the week. I'll talk more in detail about that and show you your Labor Day forecast coming up a bit later.
All right, Jacob, we'll see you then. Thank you. The case against former Milwaukee Judge Hannah Dugan will move forward after a judge denied dismissal. Dugan faces charges for escorting an undocumented man away from ICE agents. She has pleaded not guilty. In May, the former Milwaukee County judge filed a motion to appeal the case, saying she was performing her judicial duties at the time. Although the appeal was rejected, Dugan still has the option to appeal the case again. Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook is moving forward with a lawsuit to challenge President Trump's attempts to fire her. Documents from the head of the Federal Housing Finance Agency say Cook committed mortgage fraud. She allegedly bought a home in Michigan in 2021 and another in Georgia the same year, listing both as her primary residence. The Justice Department opened an investigation last week but has not filed formal charges.
She seems to have had an infraction, and she can't have an infraction, and especially that infraction, because she's in charge of, if you think about it, mortgages, and we need people that are 100% above board.
Cook's attorney says they will be filing a lawsuit arguing the president's attempts to fire her, quote, lack any factual or legal basis. Happening tomorrow, Vice President J.D. Vance will head to Wisconsin for the first time since the campaign to visit La Crosse. The vice president says he will visit a steel fabrication facility to talk about the impact of President Trump's budget bill on manufacturing. The stop is part of a wider tour through swing states, including Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Ohio. Democratic leaders have already indicated they plan to organize protests for the visit. The Department of Transportation is set to reclaim management control of Washington, D.C.'s Union Station. DOT Secretary Sean Duffy released a statement saying the transit station has, quote, fallen into disrepair. Duffy adds the move will help make the nation's capital safer at a much less expensive cost. The management takeover is expected to be made official sometime in September. DOT has owned Union Station for decades, but its control decreased over the years due to various leases and agreements. At least 3 Americans are being accused of spying on Greenland. The men have allegedly been conducting influence operations on the self-governing island in the Atlantic Ocean. That's according to reporting by DR, a public broadcaster in Denmark. Its investigation was based on discussions with sources in the U.S., Denmark, and Greenland. The reporting claims one of the men compiled a list of Trump administration supporters, while the other 2 have touched base with politicians and other officials. The Danish Foreign Ministry is summoning the U.S. envoy to Denmark in reference to the report. Well, the Wisconsin Badgers season opener is tomorrow night. Be sure to tune into News 3 Now this morning for special live coverage on Thursday ahead of game day. And Eric Franke and sports director Andrew Banstra will get you ready with Wisconsin Game Day live from the UW Fieldhouse at 6:30 leading up to the game. They'll break down what's new for the team and at Camp Randall this year. Then at 7 o'clock, and head to Channel 3000 Plus, where we'll have a more in-depth breakdown of the team and season as we get you ready for game day in Madison. Coming up next on News 3 Now at noon, why Cracker Barrel is backtracking from changing its logo, plus how many travelers airports are expecting over the Labor Day weekend.
The Federal Aviation Administration says it's getting ready for record numbers of Labor Day travelers at the nation's airports. The agency says more than 48,000 flights will take to the skies today. The FAA predicts tomorrow and Friday will be the busiest days of the long holiday travel weekend. Last year, the TSA screened more than 17 million passengers to break the previous record. Tonight brings another shot at winning the big Powerball drawing. The jackpot has grown to an estimated $815 million, with a cash option of more than $360 million. That's the 7th largest prize in Powerball's history. And after several days of public backlash, Cracker Barrel announced it's scrapping its new logo and returning to the old-timer one. In a social media post, the restaurant thanked customers for their feedback, adding, "We said we would listen, and we have." Earlier this week, President Trump was among those criticizing the redesign. Last night, the president congratulated Cracker Barrel for going back to its old logo, writing, "Make your customers happy again." That's your CBS News Money Watch report. For more, log on to cbsmoneywatch.com. At the CBS Broadcast Center, I'm Jesse Mitchell.
Here's the stock report at the noon hour. The Dow is up 101 points, Nasdaq up 27, and the S&P 500 up 10. Our call for action volunteers are in the building right now, taking your consumer complaints and taking action on your behalf. You can call for action at 608-270-2833 or submit a claim anytime at channel3000.com/call-for-action. We'll have the farm numbers straight ahead along with the first warn forecast, and later on Live at 4, sports director Andrew Banstra on what to expect from his coverage of the Badgers home opener. Pam Yankee's out of the radio barn this afternoon, so here are your farm numbers. Temperatures staying cooler than average. Here's meteorologist Jacob Montesano with the first warn forecast. Hi, Jacob.
Hey, Josh, as we take a look at the three things you need to know, we are going to see a chance of some showers tonight into Thursday, but those temperatures are going to stay in the 70s. At least the highs will stay in the 70s, and they're going to, for the most part, remain below normal throughout the next 10 days. And looking at Labor Day weekend, we are expecting plenty of sunshine with more 70s in the forecast. Now, looking at the current radar, I do want to start with that rainfall. Seeing some showers out in northeast Iowa, nothing in southern Wisconsin yet, but we are expecting to see a few of those showers and possibly a few isolated thunderstorms during the overnight hours, but most of the area should be dry until around 10 p.m. to midnight at the earliest, but more likely a little bit after midnight is when we'll see a little bit more rainfall. But in general, we're not expecting a ton of rain from this system, but a few passing showers and isolated thunderstorms are expected, possibly through early Tuesday morning, but then by Tuesday afternoon, although we still could see a few isolated showers, especially south of Madison, a lot of the area should be dry, with another small chance of rain Friday, but again, we're not expecting to see much. And looking at the rain chances over the next 7 days, the best chance will be tonight, and then again a very small chance during the day on Friday. But right now, Labor Day weekend's looking very dry, maybe a little bit of an increase in those rain chances after Labor Day, but we're still not expecting anything dramatic in the rainfall department going forward. Temperatures, they are going to remain very comfortable. Today will feature highs in the middle to lower 70s for Madison and areas to the east and north, maybe highs just around 70 for areas in southwest Wisconsin, as you folks will see a little bit more cloud cover. And the increase in clouds tonight will lead to a little bit more of a milder morning for your Thursday. We've seen low temperatures kind of around 50 the last couple of mornings. The lows tonight into tomorrow morning will be around 60, so it definitely will feel noticeably warmer during those morning hours. But highs for the afternoon going to be pretty similar, maybe a little bit warmer further west, as opposite of today, there'll be a little bit more sunshine for you folks. Highs will be in the 70s once again, maybe a few areas further northeast and closer to Lake Michigan staying in the 60s. And fast forwarding to the overnight hours tomorrow, for the Badger football game, we are expecting very football-like weather, a little bit on the cooler side, but certainly comfortable. Just bring a light jacket, maybe seeing a light breeze, and a very, very small chance of an isolated shower, but we are expecting very, very dry conditions for that football game. Now, fast forwarding to Labor Day weekend, we are expecting more sunshine, especially for Sunday and Labor Day itself, where temperatures may warm up a little bit as highs could get into the middle 70s. But the good news is that we are expecting very dry conditions for Labor Day weekend, with a little bit of an increase in those rain chances once we head towards the middle of next week. And although we are going to see that chance of rain tonight into Thursday, again, we are not expecting to see a lot of rainfall. So looking at next week, we are going to see those temperatures continuing to warm up a little bit for Tuesday, but even Tuesday, the high of in the upper 70s, that's what we normally see this time of the year. These lower 70s have been below normal, and then after Tuesday, we may see them drop again for the end of next week. So for the most part, there is no big warm up in the future, and there's not really any big rainfalls either. As you notice, there are several small chances of rainfall, but they're likely not going to amount to much. Even tonight, which is the best chance of rain, I don't expect to see a widespread heavy rain event.
All right, Jacob, thank you. Up next, we'll see what Howard's working on in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Today, we're combining French toast and strawberry cheesecake to bring you a grab-and-go breakfast that's nothing short of amazing. Make sure you stick around. When it comes to breakfast, many of us either grab something quick as we run out the door or skip it altogether. But what if we could have an easy grab-and-go version of French toast that's stuffed with strawberry cheesecake? Well, you can, and it's a heck of a lot easier than you might be thinking. First, we start by cutting the crust off some basic white bread and rolling it out with a rolling pin. After setting those aside for a sec, we mix together some softened cream cheese, strawberry jelly, an egg yolk, and a bit of sugar. Now, we spread this over the bread, then roll each one up pinwheel style before placing them seam side down on a baking sheet. We brush them with some melted butter and roll them in cinnamon sugar. Once they're all done, we'll pop them in the freezer to firm up. Come breakfast time, all that's left to do is bake them for about 20 minutes and they're done. Eat them as is, or maybe top them with some fresh berries, a bit of syrup, or both. for a decadent way to start your day. To get the recipe for our strawberry cheesecake breakfast roll-ups, all you need to do is visit our website. I'm Howard of the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a 2-in-1 way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
Here's Jacob with a final check of your forecast.
Thanks, Josh. We're going to continue to see very nice weather. We also will see a few chances of rainfall. The chance of rain is expected tonight, mostly in the form of showers, maybe a few isolated thunderstorms. Some of that rain may continue into Thursday, but overall, we are not expecting a ton of rainfall from this. And as I mentioned, a lot of it's going to occur overnight. By the time we get to Labor Day weekend, we are expecting more dry conditions as those temperatures remain in the 70s. The high temperatures remain in the 70s with a few chances of rain for the middle of next week.
All right, Jacob, thank you. Thanks for watching News 3 Now Noon. Coming up next is The Bold and the Beautiful. Our next newscast is live at 4 p.m. and you can always find us streaming 24/7 on Channel 3000+.